All right,
No, I love it. It looks great.
so we're live,
Nice.
but
Woo.
now with static
Cool.
background. So hi everybody. So welcome to
Hi.
2023 with us, Curiously Minded.
Yay.
We're really happy to be here today and very excited about our first guest of this year that I met
Anna.Lucia.
last year. Yeah.
It's true. You guys met in person, right? You guys were very lucky. You were in Mexico, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Jealous.
So then I thought, like, since we're still fresh after we met, which was a wonderful time together. So, and Ana Lucia shared that she started working with shaders. I figured it would be great to have her with us today and see her take on how it has been for her now that has entered this world of shaders.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited. How long has it been now that you've been playing with them?
I think maybe a little bit like a year, because I remember exchanging some DMs with you on Instagram, and I was like, yeah, I'm like curious but slightly intimidated.
Come to the dark side. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
And I started with the Book of Shaders, obviously, because that's kind of where everybody
As one does.
And then at some point, with a lot of struggles, I managed to draw one circle, and I was like, wow.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Circle. But like I started coding actually like 4 years ago, and I started with processing and then P5JS. So I was like, okay, I put all this struggle into drawing one circle, which in like processing I could do in the first 10 minutes of like using it. And I think my brain was still like so thinking about like how you draw with P5JS and processing, which is really like putting shapes on the canvas and deciding like what is the spot of that shape. It was really hard for me to kind of grasp like what you actually want to use shaders for. So then I left it aside for a little bit. And then I found a way that you could actually integrate P5JS into shaders, and you kind of almost use it more as like a Photoshop layer on top of your P5JS layer. So that's how I got like way more interested and like way more excited about it. And now I've even started doing like ray marching and path tracing and stuff. And I'm
in
like,
P5?
No, so I've switched over to just like JavaScript.
I was just gonna say, because otherwise ray marching, I think with P5 doesn't. That's why I don't like to use
it's too
P5 with shaders, because if you want to do more complex stuff, then the rendering is not so great. So then it's better to do 3es or like WebGL, more like almost close to native. No, so,
exactly, it gets slow quickly. But yeah, so I'm deep into the rabbit hole now.
Oh my goodness.
I like the idea. I like the idea of using it as like of thinking about it as like in 2D anyways, as like a top layer laying on top of. Yeah. I mean, in a way, in 3JS, it's thought about a bit like that too. Like you think of like the post-production stuff, it's all shaders as well. Yeah. But yeah. Sorry, Ilithya, I think I cut you off.
No, I actually wanted to tell Anna to maybe introduce herself now in the stream, in case like somebody who's joining maybe has no idea who you are. Most likely a lot know, but it's always good, you know, to introduce yourself. So for if somebody is watching maybe the replay later and they have no idea, would you mind introducing yourself? Like tell us where you're from, where are you living right now?
How did you get started with coding, and why? Well, you already did say that a little bit, but and why? And I read some fun things about how you combine like textiles and stuff, which was an original passion or a separate passion. So feel free to tell us all about it if you want.
Yeah, no, happy to chat about that. I'm from the Netherlands. My name is Anna. I'm from the Netherlands, but at the moment I live in Cairo, Egypt. But right now I'm in a place called 𝗙𝗹, which is in the western desert of Cairo, which is a beautiful place, beautiful nature. I'm very, very grateful to be here. Just kind of spend my days going into the desert and chilling in hot springs and coding. So I started coding about 4 years ago. I had my formal background is in engineering, so I studied engineering, and then 4 years ago I graduated and I started working, and work very quickly. Like, you know, you're studying engineering and you're doing all these like logic puzzles all the time and kind of complex problem solving. And when I started working, it all turned into management and bureaucracy and Excel sheets.
Yeah.
I'm really quite a miserable person, so I started looking for kind of a hobby on the side where I could still nerd with numbers and math, as one does. So I stumbled upon processing and creative coding, which I wish I had like learned about way earlier in my life, but that's just how these things go. And I was immediately hooked. I just started doing this in my evenings all the time, just developing my coding skills. So, and yeah, a year ago, my contract ended with my engineering job, and I was like, you know what? Let's just go and code full time. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Oh, it's very
That's super
interesting.
fun.
Oh, and the textile part, yeah. So I think there's like different things that I like work with in my work. Like there's different themes, but I think one of the themes that I'm very interested in is the idea of using the systems of like textiles and translating that to code. And I think it's just like a very interesting topic that I keep coming back to, is that one, I think the systems that to create textiles, like for example weaving or quilting or um, crochet, knitting, these you can translate them to code, like they are very
Cool.
systematic as well. So I like this kind of interchange that there is between the two mediums that seems so, you know, one is very tangible and the other one isn't. There's a thing between like the jacquard loom being kind of like the precursor actually to code or automation and these kind of things. I think it's a very interesting theme as well as like being a, a woman working with code and taking kind of this medium to express that as well. And then they are like similar again, because both these mediums are not never like have a hard time being recognized as art. How art is more like into craft, as well as like art made with code has not always seen the recognition in like art history. So I think
Totally.
this kind of like a theme that for me there's so many kind of facets to explore, both kind of like on a meta like conceptual level, but as well as like an artistic and technical level. So yeah, I love working with that, yeah, around that theme a lot.
Has that always been like when you started playing around with code? Was that one of like the first kind of things that you went to in your head when you were just like creating and exploring?
No, not necessarily. I think for me, so I went 1 year to art school and I actually studied fashion design. So I think working with textiles has always been something that I did, like making my own clothes and just sewing stuff. And this is something that I always already did. And at some point, I read an article about the Bauhaus weavers. So the Bauhaus is like the Weimar school from like I think the 30s in Germany. And a lot of women attended the school. Like it was open for women, but they were kind of told, we don't really want you to study architecture, or you go and go weaving because that's
what
an
you're supposed
appropriate
to.
thing for you.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. And there was even this notion where I read, because women have a hard time to think in 3D, so it's better that they just, go weave it.
What?
Yeah, by one of like the hat masters of the Bauhaus at that time. And I think for me, it just hit me so much as an engineer starting, not necessarily in university, but once I started working, I was really confronted with how it was perceived by my colleagues
Same.
and how they thought like what my capabilities could be. I was really easily pushed into like, you go do the management stuff, you go do kind of like the social stuff around the technical work, instead of you go do the technical work,
Totally.
even though I might be, I'm just, or even more qualified as the dude who's doing it. So I think reading that article just struck such like a personal note with me that since then I've really started working a lot with that.
I must say that even nowadays, this kind of like tendency to think of a role of a job or a thing that is meant for certain sex is still like sometimes happening, and maybe bias without being consciously thinking about it. Because now when you were mentioning like this, I was remembering, for example, we used to have at home a sewing machine in my apartment. I lived together with my partner, and whenever we had people coming over and they would see that, they were like, oh, so you're sewing? They would ask me, and I was like, no, that's not mine. It's for my boyfriend. He is the one that is sewing at home. But I always thought it was very interesting. Every single person assumed that I was the one using the sewing machine at my apartment and not my boyfriend. And whenever I would say that, no, it's not, it's Alfred's, and they were like, oh, Alfred sews. And I was like, why? I mean, things shouldn't be always like stereotyped to think already like, oh, this is going for this person for this role, because you never know, no? So no matter what your yearn is, you might like to do something that maybe at some point in life nobody from this yearn did it, no? So, but no, it doesn't mean that it's like that.
Also, before computers were like recognized as being the powerful machines that they are, it was totally relegated to women. Like the first computers were literally ladies. So I don't know. It's just a total silly. It makes me so annoyed. Yeah.
And by the way, I have a question, because I put on screen on Instagram, now that you were talking about this, the project that you have, the knitting project, this generative project that you did. And for example, when you did that, code-wise, did it help you? Because for example, I don't know how to speak in like to sew, no, but you said that you do that. So did it help having the knowledge of sewing to kind of think of the way that the code should work, visually to do it that way?
No, I think in this specific project, no. Like this project is based on like how a hand weaving loom works. So I actually started reading a lot about the charts, there's specific kind of patterns and charts that you can read if you're weaving on this loom to know how the pattern should go. And it has like 3 different data points, and I started kind of translating these type of patterns into code, but I didn't have necessarily a lot of prior knowledge to that. So that was watching a lot of YouTube movies of weavers and reading and stuff like that, to figure it out.
I read, I think you did all of January last year, right?
Last year, I'm not sure if I did all of January. My first year, I did all of
what
January.
What day is it? 2020? Oh no, it's 2023. I meant the 2021 year, and I wondered because the prompts have been relatively the same, right? Every year they're basically the same. Did you know that today is Textile Day?
I know that today.
Someone just said it in the chat. That's
Tom was asking, actually, I think. So.
Yeah.
No, not asking, saying, yeah, right. So.
Yeah, that's January today. Funny. Are you doing it this year?
Yeah, I'm doing it this year. It's exhausting. But I'm getting kind of lazier with prompts. So today I was like, oh, I feel like this is the prompt where I have to step up, and then I just quickly took an old sketch and kind of mixed it up.
Foofed it, yeah. No, I feel like you don't have to step it up. I mean, it's what you're known for, definitely. But I also feel like if you do January like consecutively year by year, you can definitely look for through your old sketches.
Yeah,
I feel like, I don't know, every year I tell myself I'm going to try, but I'm so bad with the daily challenges.
But I must say that it has, especially because if you want to try to do something that is every day, you don't have to like beat yourself up that it has to be super nice in order to share it, so it can be
for sure.
looking ugly to yourself, and I would just still share it like if I was in the process of learning something, so because I think otherwise it's really hard, I would say, especially every day, if you beat yourself up that every day you have to create something super cool, like in whatever the prompt is, and who knows if
true I don't know,
it's
January,
it's not possible. So I mean,
I love the prompts though. I find them very creative. I do want to try, but like Nicole was saying, she did one day and then her life took over. I feel that. She's saying it in the chat.
Yeah, it's really hard to sometimes just be like, this is what it is, this is what I reached today, and it is enough, because I can't spend my whole day on doing this January,
Exactly.
right? At some point, you're just like,
Yeah.
this today.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. So, do you want to talk about this generator links that you sent me?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You click on it?
Yeah. What is it called? Or I don't know. It says it's something with shadows.
Did you get a new mic, Ilithya?
What? No.
Did you get a new mic? No, it's the same one. Okay.
I
thought
got
it was different for a sec. Sorry.
But no, this is a filter, you know.
Ah, yes. Okay, it does look different. It's the thing for the S's.
Yeah. No, I only
Super
got it
cool.
because when we did this thing with computational mama, Bitnik was telling me that
mentioned the S's. It's true.
No, for me, I think when I speak, he said that he could hear a lot of noise in the background, and he recommended me to get a filter, and then I just got it because I thought, okay, probably when we do the stream it's not so bad, but you know, if you do podcasts where they don't see you, then the sound should be more cleaner, I suppose.
All you can hear is for sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract everybody. I just was like, wait, suddenly, not what I'm used to seeing. Okay, wait. So what was this link? Oh, there it is. It's what you have on the screen, right?
Yes. Oh, this is so beautiful. Cool. This is shader and P5, right? This is the stuff that you did in Mexico, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is the Mexico City project, and it's not the first project where I integrated P5GS and shaders, but I think it's the first project where I kind of really used shaders extensively.
Okay.
So yeah, I think for me, why I kind of chose to use like P5GS and shaders in this sense is that like there's the bottom layer where you see kind of like these straight edges. This is coming from P5GS because I personally feel so much more comfortable drawing shapes in P5GS.
Yeah, I get that.
So that's like why I used that tool for that. But then like the movement and kind of and also the color palettes and like how I assign colors and work with colors, I also do in P5GS because it's just a lot more easier for me to understand how to work with colors in P5GS and kind of like mix colors and overlay colors and such instead of doing that in a shader. And then more like the movement and the kind of the effect that you see in the piece is done in the shader.
And it's really nice.
Something like that I set up like the code bend today. So
yeah, it almost looked like a mirror and that you have something behind, or glass, you know, and there's like something moving behind this blurriness. Really great.
We do love a shiny surface around here.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
So kudos, by the way, because this is great for being like your first shader project that you've done. I think it's
not my first shader. No, it's been like some. Yeah.
I think I just had a flashback. I remember you posting how proud you were to draw the circle when you started studying. I remember seeing that on Instagram and being like, yes, you did it.
Okay,
cool.
And then you sent me another thing that if you want to talk about it, this Art Deco, it's like a sculpture. It's really nice. Did you make this in P5 or is this now 3S? Or?
No, so this is just JavaScript code.
Oh, okay, okay. Now Canvas, pure Canvas, basically. So, right? Because you need to use Canvas to draw the... So now you're like going even more native, and wow, you're a really fast learner, I must say, no?
Yeah, seriously. God. No, definitely. Yeah.
Like I it takes me always a long time to be able to do something as pretty if I'm learning a tool, I think. So this looks really great.
And I think also like in the tweet it says like mostly inspired by Peter Pasma. So I think he's also one of the artists that for me really was like, I want to learn shaders when I saw his work. So now, especially like when he did like the 3D sculptures that he makes that was for me like, I want to know how to do this. So that I'm getting like sort of close to that, and now understanding how it works has just been like really, really cool, because before it just looked to me like you're doing magic, and now I'm like,
Totally.
oh, I know what you're doing there. You know, I
Yeah.
understand the concepts of it and stuff. So yeah, not what I'm gonna be talking about today, because I still think there's people out there way better in that.
By the way,
It's amazing,
and when
though.
you were learning this, for example, Canvas, what was your take to learn Canvas? Did you find any good tutorial, or did you went to just the documentation of how to like draw stuff? Is that enough for you to get started to learn documentation, or you actually found a tutorial of someone drawing stuff?
There is a website called WebGL Fundamentals. And I've actually also been having a lot of calls with Ivan Dianov. I don't know if he watches this stream or not. So he's been helping me a lot with actually setting up setting up like the whole JavaScript kind of boilerplate. But once it's there, it's as if you're just working in a fragment shader. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I put the link on the chat.
WebGL.
So I know this.
It's like everyone's eventual button. Yeah, but this is what I was about to say. This site has been around forever.
Yeah. And there's another one for 3es very similar to this one, which is really good. I think both of them are really good. So yeah, because they have examples, not only like explain, but also demos, kind of. Really nice.
Yeah, but
okay. Cool.
And yeah, but that's the thing. What I noticed with shaders, for example, if you want to learn P5JS, it's just like go to the coding train, and it's like you can learn so much, and their website is really great. But if you with shaders, I'm just like like using one tutorial here, reading like another article there, and reading something here again. They all kind of explain the same thing in a different way.
Yeah. And you like, I think I get it, but I'm not sure if I get it, because I've heard it 10 different ways, and it kind of makes sense. But I guess because shaders can be used so differently depending on your needs, it's also hard to focus in on. Well, the book of shaders did a pretty good job. Focus on fragment shaders. Yeah. But that's the only one. There's some like really, really old resources that exist. You can download this like ancient GitHub repo and have a whole program that you like practice shaders like offline. But it's like 11 years old, I think, at this point. So I don't know also what version of GLSL they're using, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think I can recommend that one anymore. Oh, Andy's here. Hello, Andy. WebGL is also syntax heavy. It is very error prone. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's really.
I've never done pure WebGL.
It's even more complex, I would say, than shaders. But I was gonna say, just because of the complexity of how shaders are, in contrast with P5, I believe that's the reason why also there's like a lot of different people teaching it in their own way, which could not be as similar as if you find two tutorials that are very similar in P5, for example. Just because I think every person process shaders differently. That's my feeling. Like every person that I ask that have learned shaders, they have a way to process their knowledge of GLSL differently. So, and I think as a person trying to learn shaders too, that's the thing that you have to find what you feel comfortable. So with that, maybe if somebody tells you, oh, for example, check out this tutorial from this person, and then they go see it and they are like, oh, but I don't get it. And then suddenly they find another one, and then they're like, oh, I finally get it. Because I think that's how I feel, at least so far, when I've been learning shaders, that you really have to find the space where you get it, which might not be the one that for some people have already worked. So, because it's...
I will say that... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was done.
I was just going to say that I've noticed that one of the most thorough and like concise kind of like rundowns for shaders for me has been because on the Bruno Simon's 3JS Journey website, they do he does transcripts for everything, and just like having that to read through slowly is so great. Also, cat-like coding, if you are into Unity shaders or like CG, the old school shader kind of. dialect, I guess I would call it. Yeah.
He done his like 3GS journey, but I never got as far as where he actually starts doing shaders. I think I kind of more like stopped where we're still just doing primitive shapes. And
Oh, really? Oh, it's really great. It's really, really great.
I should probably pick it up again because I still have the course.
Oh yeah, and he keeps he's the most generous person. He literally keeps adding chapters and isn't asking anyone to charge extra.
Yeah,
it's crazy. He
just
added a whole
updated.
thing of like.
He sent an email today, actually. I think.
Yeah,
so that was
like
really
the different
funny.
things. I was reading it.
I'm gonna put it on screen.
I use it as like a
shout out to
a general like video explanation documentation. I should actually probably be pedantic about it and go through everything one by one. But usually when I need to find something, I just like go in and look it up, and Bruno has explained it. Also, 𝗦𝗲𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗀 has probably a little bit old at this point, but there is like a GitHub Gitbook like website where he explains a few shader things, and it's really nice, and like WebGL fundamentals. So,
Is the mosque? Can everybody hear the mosque on the background?
I thought I heard something. I was like, what is,
yeah, there's
what
something,
is
but I'm not sure what it is. So.
To pray, everyone. That's what it is. I'll mute myself for a bit.
It's fine. No, that's all right.
Okay, so
it wasn't really like it's background noise, but we couldn't even tell what it was, Anna. So it's fine. I don't know. It's not an.
Wait, Elithya, you speak Spanish. What does pendiente a la clase mean?
That you're like paying attention paying attention to the class. Why?
There's like a new thing in Twitch where it's like first time chat, and someone was saying, "Hello, I'm listening to the class." Hello, Juan RG92.
Okay.
Is that
Juan? Yes, pendiente a la clase. Hola, Juan. Yeah. Yeah, that's Juan. Yeah, we met him in Mexico. Cool. Bienvenido, bienvenido.
Amazing. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so yeah.
By the way, Juan, looking at the recent dailies that you have been posting, have you also started learning shaders?
He has.
A question to Juan, yes? Oh, yeah.
I know that
Everyone's slowly coming in.
I'm very impressed what he's been doing.
Yeah, we were just talking about it, and he was saying that he was very inspired in Mexico by seeing like probably your work, Zach's work, and then by being together with me and Mario when we were teaching shaders the next day that he taught P5. So yeah, so it's great. I look forward to see his work because I think he's gonna do something like you soon. So. Like a project, nice. I mean, so.
Exciting.
Amazing.
Okay, so should we jump into the code pen so that you can tell us what you want to share with us today?
Yeah, show us your technique. I'm very excited.
Yeah, me
too. I don't think we've never done an episode using P5, so this is
I was gonna say with Dan Schiffman, but no, even with Dan Schiffman, I think we just 3GS.
We put Dan Schiffman in 3GS.
Yeah, exactly.
So we broke his brain.
Yeah, exactly. But now he's doing shaders. So
he's on fire now. No, I know, it's great.
It's really amazing that we inspire him. So now he's like teaching shaders with P5. So sometimes.
And I think it's Tom, I always forget, I apologize.
I think both of them are here.
Tim.
Pompader is Tom.
Okay.
And Nerdisco is Tim.
I'm going to get it one day. Well, he was saying that someone in the P5 universe is trying to make it easier to do more things, looking into how it can be smoother for new people. So that's fun. And I guess because Dan Schiffman is coding shaders in P5, they have like a lot of reason to, because now everyone's going to be like trying to do it. So that's fun. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted again. Let's look at what
I'm gonna show one more thing because you sent me this link on a P5 yes with shaders, right? So I'm gonna put it as well on the chat because for people that is watching, this is basically what we're gonna do now. So it's a free resource.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask if you knew about this. I remember finding this a few years ago. It's great.
Yeah. So this is kind of how after I drew my first circle, I kind of left the book of shaders and was like, that was a lot. Now I'm just going to go back to P5GS again. And then I found out that you could actually work with shaders in P5GS, like through this resource. Yeah. And let me see. So I have a bunch of palettes in here.
Hold on, I'm gonna go back to the code pen.
Switch back to the
Oh,
code.
Should we check the JavaScript setup first so that you tell us a little bit about the setup? Because normally Eliza and I, we do 3GS, so this is new for us.
True. I have no idea.
So I'm scrolling the palettes.
What?
Yes. You
Yeah,
have
so
a couple of them in our array.
So yeah, for example, already like I like putting the colors just here in JavaScript, and maybe they are like changed a little bit in the shader, but yeah, here they're more like hard coded in their hex codes. But how you get a shader into P5GS, you can make two documents, one for your vertex shader and one for your fragment shader. You can either put them as like strings in your JavaScript code or just make separate files, and like here we have them in the HTML. And you make a variable that is your shader, the shader. And these are things that are not necessarily very important. They're mostly here because...
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you for a second. Are they praying or what are they doing?
It's the call to come to prayer.
Okay.
Oh,
wow, it's very
long. Might actually be the prayer.
It happens a few times a day, no?
Yeah, 5 times a day.
Wow, that's a lot of times to stop.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm over here struggling with my like one meditation a day.
Yeah.
Right.
5 times.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess if there was a siren that went off in France every day, I would do it. Why not?
And I think it's also a communal thing, right? Because for example, in the offices that I worked in Egypt, women don't pray in public, but the men, they would just like put up their prayer mat on the floor of the office, and like with a group of 5 people, they would go and pray. So very casually. Like, or you see just people at the side of the road, they just like put out their mat and pray.
Wow. I mean, I do appreciate the casual kind of like, let's just do it wherever. I really like that a lot, actually.
I mean, but you have to do it 5 times a day.
Yeah, you don't really have a choice. It's
yeah. Okay.
So if I'm scrolling in the code pen, is that like showing up on the Twitch screen?
Yes, but I'm on the JavaScript panel. Where are you on? I was in the JavaScript panel to show that.
Yeah.
Okay, you should see me now. I'm clicking in between JavaScript and HTML. There I am.
Yes, you are.
Cool. It wasn't showing up for me before, but I realized I wasn't logged in. Cool.
So where are you, Anna? In which line are you? So then I can scroll. Oh, I found you.
70.
Okay. Yeah.
70. So here you have just your like P5JS
oops, sorry.
canvas that you are then like drawing the shader on again, and that's what you see on your screen. And here I have like the actual shader, and like just the function for that in P5JS is create shader, and then like you put the variable like referencing your vertex shader file, that's called vert in this case, and like to your fragment shader file, which is called frag in this case. So that's how you create already, like the shader is there. What I'm doing in this case is that I am making 2 separate graphics layers that I'm drawing on in P5JS. So one I've called like art. That's the name of my one graphics layer, and the other one is like the top layer. And these are 2 textures that I then pass into the shader as uniforms, and I transform in the shader, and then like you draw that shader back on the canvas. Cool. That's kind of the basic setup. Let me scroll down a little bit more. And these are then, for example, also I like working with randomness a lot more, like using the random, because this was the basis of like a longer form generative project. I generate the uniforms, like the random uniforms, in P5JS as well. So there were like different uniforms to decide like how the movement is going, or like just different varieties or expressions of the script, and I generate those as like kind of random. They're generated randomly
on P5 first.
these uniforms, and then Yeah, and then they are here passed to the shader. So here's like the two textures, the resolution, and then for example, this is, yeah, for example, this is for like um, a noise function, and kind of just how that noise function is generated is those variables are made here.
One little question from Nicole. She's asking if the color palettes that we were showing, the arrays, if you pass them as uniforms to the shader, or if they are staying in the P5 world.
No, they stay in a P5 world, and I use the color palettes in the to draw the on the two graphics layers, like the top layer
in P5.
in
Okay.
P5.
Okay, not a
So
uniform.
that's kind of
I
yes.
also echo Nicole. You can pass P5 graphics as a uniform. I had no idea. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Super cool.
So that is kind of like how I see it as, you know, Photoshop. Like you have different layers, and then you have kind of the shader, which is almost like a Photoshop filter, you know?
I love it. That's a lot. That's how, in my experience, a lot of like web-focused devs think about using shaders. Like they'll put a layer on top of an image, for example, to deform it when the mouse goes over it on page load or something like that, which are like very practical uses of shaders, which every time I see them, I'm like, I've never thought of using a shader that way, because we're like, you and I, Eliza, are so focused on literally like painting the pixels, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love discovering this kind of stuff. It's like doesn't come to me naturally. So
yeah, me too.
Is there a reason why you use?
Because it's
Wait,
easier,
I won't
you
ask
know.
that question yet.
It's kind of like easier instead of us like pulling the pixels as we normally do in the shaders. Like if you're learning, I mean, at this point for us it's easier the way that we do it. But if you would be learning this way, it's easier because then you just do the like graphics in P5, and then you just add this whatever noisy shader at the top, and then it creates this diffumination much faster.
And I guess it allows you, it gives you something to relate to, because you are still in the world that you understand, and you're just like adding a little bit of like icing on top of the, I don't know why I'm thinking of cakes, but yeah. What's the uniform within the shader? Is it a texture 2D?
The uniform, which yes, because also something to note, I think in P5.js you can only work with WebGL 1, not so they are then.
Another question: is there a reason? There are many questions at the moment, and I can imagine. Me too, because like we're in P5, and our viewers tend to work with 3JS like us. So here's Nicole again. Is there a reason why you use fractal Brownian motion in P5 and pass as a uniform rather than using the fractal Brownian motion directly as a shader?
So I think what you will start to discover if we're going to go through this, that a lot of the things that I'm doing in P5.js, you can also definitely do
in shaders.
In shaders, but because it has been like, this is the world that I know
and understand.
For me to code these things, that's why I might actually be doing that in
P5
JavaScript, where in P5, where it's like maybe it's way more efficient to do that in the shader.
But no, I just was going to say I love your way of incorporating a new bunch of tools with a bunch of tools you are comfortable with. I don't know. I tend to go like, okay, I must be super purist and everything. But then it takes me like months to do anything, because I'm like, how am I going to wrap my mind around this? No, I really love this. Take the bits you understand, do what you can with them, and you end up with pretty amazing results. And then, you can bring in your FBM function.
Your noise function.
If you really want.
Basically, it's just a noise function, right? So, and your choice is to use that one. So that normally. Yeah.
And I think also for the example that I did today, I'm actually going to show it like the two textures that are passed onto the shader. So if we say here that the color is actually...
Wait a second, where are you now? Did you swap to the HTML or?
Yes,
okay.
I did. But the result is going to show up on the screen. The code is not necessarily...
Which line are you? So I'm just curious to follow you, so wherever you are. Oh, I found you. Yeah.
So I think it's called text.
Oh,
Maybe.
we have to do a commercial break in 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, but it's always
Um,
good. So and in the beginning I thought it was annoying, but I feel like if you need to get a glass of water, go to the toilet,
It's
it's
nice now.
perfect.
Everyone has a moment to like.
Yeah,
Then we don't have
exactly. And then we come back, so I think it's gonna be fine. Yeah, you added now, right? So
Okay, wait.
in this line 87, texture 2D, that's
Yeah.
another shape, I imagine, from coming from P5, right? The circle.
Yeah, so this is the one of the graphics layers from P5 that I'm passing onto the shader. But if you look at it, and I think that's kind of like has to do with the example that I chose for today's stream, they are actually they are circles that you could probably also draw on a shader, right? But if you want to do very different, like maybe more complex shapes or shapes you are a lot more comfortable drawing in P5JS, you might do that. So I think, yeah, you also could be like, why are you drawing the circles in P5JS and not in the shader? Like
Yeah.
everything that I'm doing could almost be like also purely done
Yeah, I
in
was
the
gonna
shader.
say, but I like what you're bringing in today. That you said that you're doing it because that's what you know, and you just want to
Yeah.
get started. So why not, like, just use what you. I tend to have, I guess, or to be more the way like Eliza said, more as well. Like, oh, I'm gonna do shaders. I'm gonna do it like the most performant that I can, and like natively. So then I try to do everything in there.
Can I interrupt for a moment?
Yeah, yeah.
Is your VPN off, Eliza?
Yes, it's off.
Okay. I don't know. For me, it paused, but I guess not for anybody else.
Oh, okay. No,
Let
not
me
for me.
refresh. Sorry, just checking.
Okay. No, that's good. But if I already asked, I think if something is wrong, they should tell us in the chat, please, if you see something suddenly.
Oh yeah, true.
Because maybe it's only for one person.
Okay.
That
I think it's just me. Well, I'll turn my VPN on when we take a break in a moment. I don't know if it's that. Sorry, as you were. Sound and video are both good. Okay. It's totally me then.
So let's see. That is the first. So that's the first layer. And actually, I took this from one of my January sketches from yesterday, this function, and it's the draw rings function in the JavaScript code starting at line 106, which was the prompt was to do something with moiré.
yeah, that's what I was about
moiré.
to say.
We love moiré. We were doing that with Justin last time.
Draw another set of rings on there and then like overlay them, because then we're actually going to see some moiré.
Cool.
I think, right? Yeah. So now it's already, and there's like some, and then also it's not just rings, like I'm adding there's some noise added to it in P5JS as well to displace them a little bit and get like these moiré. I have mosquitoes around me everywhere. The sun has just gone down. And
I see you swatting, and I was like,
it's like my hands are flat. It's just like me fighting the mosquitoes. So that's the first layer, and then the other layer that I'm using is that I'm passing as texture 1. So let's just show that. So this is like a very simple kind of just
texture 1. Hold on.
How would you call that?
Give me a moment. Where are you? Oh, you just swap the variable basically inside the texture to the to see. Okay, yeah. Sorry, it's just I went back to the JavaScript to see. And now I'm gonna go to JavaScript to show the function, no? Because first you had the draw ring function for the moiré, and now this is the rectangle subdivision function.
Yeah. So this is just a rectangle subdivision that I also kind of quickly chose as an example for this, and this is how I can translate passing colors into the shader. So by just basically drawing a lot of rectangles with colors, and then being able to choose those colors as well. So that layer is there for the color, and the other layers there more for the texture that you see in the shader.
So that means that this rectangle that we're watching right now, this is what we saw behind the moiré moving shader thing, because you're cropping this in the circle, right?
Yeah.
So that we don't see the whole sketch that we see in here because you crop it. Are you doing the cropping in shaders or in P5?
I'm cropping I'm cropping it in the shader, and I'm even like zooming in a little bit into the, like maybe just cutting out a single
This is
part
so
of
interesting
that.
because I couldn't tell from before that it was actually rectangles in the background. I thought it was, but because I think shaders, no? So I was thinking of the shader like sine and cosine moving.
Totally, me too. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
could not picture this behind, so this is so interesting to see the way that you work your way to do that. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. Crazy.
And that's like then where all the FVM noise is passed. So what I do is I transfer the UV coordinates, and because if you want to draw the texture and you do like just the regular UV coordinates, then it just draws that like the graphics layer as it is, as we see it now. But then if you start transforming that UV coordinate and then like pass it into to draw the texture, then it like completely dysmorphs and forms and does trippy things.
So cool.
Oh, wow. Okay, so should we go on a break because I think it's coming soon, and then we come back like 2 minutes?
We'll come back and continue.
Okay.
Spray.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna disconnect the call, by the way, Anna, and then I will send a new link to the two of you. So see you soon,
Be back
everybody.
In a moment, everybody.
Yeah. And we're back. Okay, so now,
Hello.
you can ask your question.
Yeah, so we were just off, and I was asking Anna when she made the jump to P5, because I know she started with processing. And you were saying it was because you wanted to be able to put your work like online and like do the NFT thing, all of that stuff. So how has that been for you? I feel like I remember when you dove in, and I feel like it just went really well for you from the start. It was great to watch happen.
It's been a really amazing journey so far. So the reason why I made this switch from processing to 𝗶5JS is because I wanted to release an art blocks project, and that means like your code is online, so it had to be in 𝗶5JS, and that's also one of the libraries that they support on their platform. They also support 3JS, by the way. And I was really, really intimidated by that. Like, that was like the reason why I was like, I can't do an art blocks project because I don't know P5. And then I was like, oh, if you go from processing to P5, I feel like in my head, it's like going from German to Dutch, because German is like a language with a lot of like grammar rules, and it's very strict, and it's very, very difficult. And Dutch is more like kind of like a cousin from German and a little bit more loose around the edges. So I was like, oh, this is actually...
Oh, cool. Yeah, because it's less, processing is typed. So you have to be very specific, right, about all of the different kind of information that you're combining. And yeah, JavaScript is definitely more lenient.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice. Okay. So I was just looking at the code again on P5 because I'm really like, for me, this is new world, the way that you're doing the shaders, and see how I was looking at the color generator function too.
Oh, yeah.
That's so that you would randomly, like, because I saw your palettes. I'm gonna scroll back just to see like each palette, each array has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 colors, right? And you want to assign them randomly in, for example, in the squares. Is that why you have this color generator?
Why there's a color generator? So yeah, because this is kind of coming from code from like a larger project where like maybe each output has a different palette, so that's why there's 6 palettes, and then within that palette like a color gets randomly assigned to a rectangle. Sometimes I even have another function that I put for each color, I put a probability. So that's not in this code, but that's like a function that I use. Like, some colors have like a higher probability of being chosen than other colors. But what the color generator does, this is why my color mode is set to HSB, is that it actually like takes the color from the color palette, but then maybe it switches like with a Gaussian function the hue like a little bit away from like the hard-coded hex code that is in the project. And it also, the saturation and the brightness, like it gives it like a little bit of an offset around the Gaussian function, so that the colors aren't like all exactly the same color, but they're more like kind of shades around the same color.
Is that why you have to use the random Gaussian then, just so that they are closer together? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why I like, and for example, why in the saturation and the brightness I take the absolute value, because I only want to like increase the saturation and the brightness, and not like make the saturation and the brightness less, because then you get like quite dull colors. And I like a little bit bright colors.
Yeah, very interesting.
Can I ask a silly question? I assume you said we see it here. Random Gaussian is the P5?
Yeah, random Gaussian is like a P5 function. If you don't pass anything, I think the mean is 0 and the standard deviation is 1, but you can pass like the mean and the standard deviation that you want as like 2 variables in between the brackets.
I'm gonna put the reference on screen because I'm curious about how that works. Random.
Oh, Mario made it. Hello, Mario. Never too late. Always happy to have you.
Yay.
Oh yeah, it's true. You, of course, Anna. You met. I'm like the only one now that
Anna met in Mexico. Yeah, because you're late, Mario, but Juan is here, and we were saying that we all met in Mexico. Anna, Juan, you and I. So random Gaussian, I put it on the screen because I was just really curious to see. Oh, okay. So you have the mean and then the standard deviation. Oh, okay. For me, it would make sense to use random Gaussian, kind of like the examples in the reference, to make noise. So it's interesting that you're using it like to get this kind of to clamp the color into what you want. So,
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so then to do that in shaders, we would use a clamp.
I would say
Well,
so, no?
actually,
Because
that
it's
is
like
the
a parameter. As I
thing about-
understood, you don't want to go too dark, no? You want to stay in like a spectrum, in a range.
Oh, that's why I do the absolute value. So it's only adding to the brightness and adding to the saturation. But the interesting thing about the Gaussian function, instead of like if you say like the random function, I want it between 5 and 10, and you won't get numbers that are lower than 5 or higher than 10, right? Like clamped in the random function. But if you use the Gaussian, because it is like this, you know, the bell curve, you're not actually defining the edge cases. You're more like, I want most values around this, and you determine like how spread out around that main point you want with the standard deviation.
Oh, okay, hold on. So I have to ask to completely understand. So let's say that you had this random range that you wanted from 5 to 25. If you would just like, you know, the random from P5 normally, no? That goes in between 5 and then instead you use the random Gaussians so that I can say, oh, let's bring me numbers close to 5 and close to 25, but nothing in the middle, like in the very middle between them. Am I understanding right?
You say like, well, here in this example, the mean is 0. So I say like, give me values around 0, and the standard deviation is 1. And I think the standard deviation, if I'm going to remind this correctly, is the chance of 67% chance that it can fall in that range. So either from 0 to 1 or 0 to -1. If we get up a bell curve on the screen, it makes a lot more sense. But it could also be like -3 or +3, but the chance of it being -3 or 3 are way lower.
Yeah.
And the chances of it being like 0.1 or -0.1 are really big.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about clamp. Nicole also wrote in the chat that it's like it's more than a map. No, sorry, she wrote it's more like a map
sounds like
instead
a
of a
map
clamp.
more than a clamp.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know how to use maps, so then it's not in my
like
head.
a P5, but I think she means a P5 map.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that correct, Nicole?
Okay.
The domain is condensed, Andy says.
Yeah. Okay, I think I'm still trying to wrap the idea on my head. So.
Because does shaders have a map? I feel like you have to write your own map function.
I think you have to write your own, or there's already one written that it's out there. I believe so. Kind of like.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like intrinsic.
Yeah. No.
Andy says you condense the random to closer values, reducing the chances of getting extremities.
Yeah.
To the center, sorry. Oh, okay, exactly. That makes sense.
Okay, so then is why I understood. So,
yeah, it does kind of feel.
Yeah, okay. So you kind of like want to stay in those two values instead of like in the middle of it, because like if you would use the random function,
really
then
hit the edge.
you hit everything. You could even hit the middle. But you just want to some random numbers around these two. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Curious way to. Yeah. Okay.
No, I like that. I like that. You set the edges, but you never want to hit the edges. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Should we go back to the shader, or is there something else that you want to explain in the JavaScript template?
No, I'm very curious, like for you to.
Oh, now you put everything back, because I see
so actually I'm inserting the colors. So these are the actual colors that are being passed.
Ooh, I love those pastel colors.
That are actually coming from the P5JS code. So let's see, what am I doing? So what I kind of like about using shaders, how it is actually different from Photoshop, is that for example, I wrote a blur function that is probably a very shitty blur function, but because it's kind of shitty and I can control the parameters, I think the effects are nice.
So you created that blur function that I see in line 34 of shaders? You didn't grab it from somebody else?
I think I looked at examples probably, and like it's not, I didn't completely come up with it.
Okay.
Like there's
oh, here you have the map function that Eliza, you were just saying, actually.
Oh yeah.
She's
exactly.
using it, so that's why she has it in here. So
I've definitely used that before, though I never used I'm in. What's I'm? Oh, that's sorry.
The
that's
minimum and the
variable.
maximum.
My bad. I was like,
Oh yeah.
what is this function?
Yeah, so basically it's map what you were explaining, because now I see, I never use map on shaders, but I can see here now the parameters that you have like two extremities and two, like from one end and the other end. And so, yeah, okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm taking, this is, I'm calling it BG, or like background on line 65. So I'm taking that base layer that we saw before of like these circles, and I'm blurring it a little bit and distorting it in a way. And then I'm using that layer as a displacement map for the color layer. So that's why I'm like basically taking kind of like the average of every color value on that texture, on like the background, and then mapping it to the values of like -1 and +1, and that I'm using as a displacement map, like this average, because
I'm doing some swizzling.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if I change the colors on my end. So cool.
No, you're not changing the colors here, not yet. You're changing like the displacement, because the colors aren't coming from the texture 0 but from texture 1.
True.
Okay, so just by changing the displacement, then the color looks different, because you you change the view of the this filter thing.
And then I'm creating a vector st that is kind of like replacing the UV, like the coordinates on which I'm gonna map, on which I'm like mapping the color layer, the color texture, and then like applying that displacement to it, and applying like warp to it, and more displacement. And it's just me playing around with a lot of sine and cosines and numbers, and like some random blur, and I'm just like kind of playing around until I think it looks cool.
Did you create the warp function yourself, by the way? Or did you just grab it from somewhere?
I think I definitely got that from 𝗍𝗍𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, if I'm gonna pronounce his name correctly. Yeah, but then like I played around with like how many like octaves of frequency, and what are the different contributions of each frequency, and so the concept is from there, the idea is from there, but I've played around with the parameters.
Okay. Can we edit now?
I just noticed
your code to see what happens.
I just noticed you have both UV and ST in your main function, but ST is like another layer of UV, no? UV plus. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just creating like a new variable.
Okay. So this is the circle that is cropping the thing.
What do you? Oh, let's see. What is l𝗶𝗍𝗀 gonna do?
I'm gonna use fract instead of like the circle, so that the cropping happens in one. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, interesting. So you can really like draw whatever shape you want. If you would like some straps here, or maybe the other way. Huh.
Oh, and there's still the step function, of course, like.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I'm using B. to apply to the color.
Oh, right. Sorry, my bad. That's where B goes.
No, that's fine. Oh,
Yeah.
I really love that one. It looks like a painting. Whatever you were doing.
Where?
Where were you? I don't know what you did.
I'm on 80. I can only see Elithia's cursor, but I only just removed line 86.
I'm
Yeah.
So if you would also
I'm gonna go back to the circle because it was more pretty than the lines that I just wanted to see what you could do, but basically you can do anything to crop the thing.
So here I removed like the displacement map, and this is just like the warp on that layer of rectangles that we had.
So the moiré is gone, kind of, no? So that's the displacement that you meant, the more. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, so cool.
Wait, where is the displacement map in here now? I lost it.
Here it's like the average value.
The ST value.
Yes. Sorry. Right. Okay.
That is added to.
Is there? Isn't? Oh, there is. That's why it's multiplied by. I couldn't tell if it. I'm just gonna make the time go a bit faster.
Oh yeah.
So
just to see
more movement. Yay.
I feel like it's very subtle, and I wonder if people on the stream can see. So now.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then if we remove sign so that it's not like giving me scissors, but instead, just going over.
Oh, so it's continuous.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, I feel like.
I wonder. Let's remove cos as well.
But you have to put plus. Yeah, exactly. And I think it should just go. And I prefer that. It's more calming. Because when you use sine and cosine really quick, it's like it's giving me scissors. I feel like I prefer something more calming. But, can you make them more less prominent, I imagine? No, that's more prominent.
You mean the lines?
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, if it's like higher, it has like a higher effect.
So it has to go lower.
Yeah, if it's lower, you see them.
Okay. I was.
It has to be like 0.0, 0.06 or something. Ooh, I really like that one. Those colors are beautiful.
You know what it reminds me of? You know those cards that if you walk past them, they kind of like move. Or maybe like a postcard.
Yeah.
Show an animation.
I have one that I bought when I was away this past month in December, like looking at me, but it's of the Virgin Mary, so I won't put it on the screen. But it's very funny. It's like the hologram stickers, no? I used to collect them when I was little too.
Yeah.
Well, anything that is kind of iridescent, I love. So, so this is kind of like getting that feeling as well.
Totally. I really love the shine, but it reminds me also kind of of that first thing that you showed us, right? And it was so shiny as well.
Yeah.
Wait, so if I increase the offset, what happens? I can't tell.
Where are you?
I can't decide. I just increased the offset, from 0.008 to 0.8.
Oh, I think that is like something in the blur function.
Yeah, because I don't see it. I mean, the color changes every time that we change something.
Oh yeah, the color palette always changes when you refresh.
Okay, blur offset, ST offset. Okay. And then what's the third parameter? Float pH. In your blur function, what is the pH for?
What is the pH for? Where do you see a pH?
So I was looking at that third value.
Line 42.
In line 84, the 6.28. And so then I went up to your blur function to be like, what is that parameter for? And so I see that's the final, no, is it the final param?
Oh, yeah. trying to remember.
If you don't remember, it's totally fine. When people ask me that kind of thing, I'm always like, I don't know.
I think in the blur function, I'm doing two different blurs. Like one of them is like almost like a Gaussian blur, just making it kind of blurry. And the other one is actually not really a blur. It's more like adding like speckles.
Cool.
A little bit more noisy.
Cool.
And probably the pH value is.
It's the threshold or the cutoff, it seems like. It's in the if statement there. Okay, on line 38. Cool. Yeah. So wait, right now it's above.
I think it also has to do maybe because like in 𝗦𝗀𝗀𝗀1 you are not allowed to use probably this is what I used it for. You're not allowed to use
very different.
Oh no, that's not what I used it for.
You're not allowed to use you cut what were you saying? You're not allowed to use what?
Well, because you're not allowed to use like variables, like non-constant variables in your for loops. So maybe that's why I do the trick there. But no, that's not what it's for. But that like might be why you use an if statement.
It's definitely though. It definitely changed the vibe because I reduced it to under 3 because I saw that was the threshold. So wait, let's see if I put it back at 6. Oops.
Wait, yeah, it's more noisy. I think when you use a lesser value or a smaller value, it was like less noise. To my perception, I think. Oh no.
The condensed nature. You mean of the noise? Here, let me put it back at 6. This is, it seems like here the period is tighter, smaller.
Yeah, whereas maybe like the outline, like the edge of the noise is different.
Yes.
Here, maybe the period is a little bit longer. I don't know.
Yeah, that was the difference. Now I can totally tell. It's the edge of the noise. Like here is, for example, in here you see the color already like coming to the next color, like very flat.
Oh,
and put 6. And then in here, instead of looking a stop of a color, you see a kind of outline, an H.
There's less of
a little outline.
Got it.
That it's a lot more blurry. So this is what I started playing with, like in this. It's coming back to me writing this blur function myself. If you kind of like, I wrote the blur function as if you have like you take your color point and you walk in a circle around that color point and you sample a color around it and then take the average from that, like so blurring the colors because you're taking the average of the colors around that and you're walking in a circle. But instead of sometimes walking just a full circle, I started playing around with like, what if I only walk like a quarter pi of the circle in radians, of like what if I only walk like half a pi of the circles, and it has like different effects on the blur function that I was playing around with. So that is that pH, and it's probably coming from the idea that I was relating that to a phase.
Yeah,
and so like kind of like the phase of the circle, and then also like I'm doing like in the blur function, like the rings, like how many rings around am I sampling from, and then there is like the direction of like where are we in the circle. So also sometimes like that radius I actually don't change and we're just walking around the same distance from the main point, or like that radius is changing and we're sampling like closer to the original point or further away.
Cool. Okay.
Since I wrote this.
No, but that makes sense. What kind of engineering did you study? Was it like?
I did civil engineering, and I'm specialized as a water resource management engineer.
Okay. I feel like people who've studied engineering always have some kind of a bit of a easy time with some of these concepts. I'm always like, oh,
yes,
I had to go and study like letters and culture.
But I think it's definitely so like cool. Accurate, you know, because maybe that's, for example, I feel for you and I, Eliza, both of us feel that it takes like the longest now when we have to learn
I have to reread a sentence like 30 times, and then have Dan Schiffman explain it to me twice, and then read it again, and then I'm going to be like, okay, I
Yeah.
think I get it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And people, I
Takes
think,
a
that
moment.
studies engineer, because like really, like literally you start to learn to code 2 years ago, 3, you said, Anna? Like
I think
like to
now
code
it's
for the web, for
4.
art? Is it 3 years?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like
But you were always into numbers, though.
yeah, for me it's really
I
fast.
googled you before we got on the stream, and I read this interview where you're talking about how you used to do like math problems in the backseat of your car to like calm down or something, and I was like, cool, wow. I have a friend who does that with her daughter now, so it gives me
Oh, and it's gonna pay off the rest of her life.
Mm.
And I think for me, like I now realize, like I dropped out of art school to pursue engineering, and now I realize that probably I wouldn't be able to make the art that I make today hadn't I studied engineering and remained in art school.
Totally.
So
yeah.
in the end, it has been choice actually for my art.
I think so,
No, I
because
mean,
I was
I
gonna
feel
say
like you were
that's why you're
saying
so fast with shaders or like anything that you want to learn. You know,
with
'cause you
anything,
have the
really.
engineering brain. So I can imagine that for you to be introduced into this language, for example, of computer, kind of like it's faster than for a person that doesn't know this base of engineering, that any engineering that
The foundation.
yeah, exactly, that you take the, I imagine the in Spanish it's called like the branch classes that you take the first 2 years of whatever, like engineer, that you know, so that gives you that base, I imagine. No? So
And you were saying before how you were bummed that you hadn't discovered processing earlier, but I feel like everything kind of seems to be aligning for you in like a perfect little timeline. It's great. No, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I love all of the stuff that you've done.
probably you wouldn't be able to do it so quickly if you would have learned it, like for example, before you were engineering, when you were doing your art and you were trying to learn how to code, I imagine that you could not achieve what you have achieved so quickly in this time.
But there's also something to say that, for example, when I was like maybe in the last year of my bachelor's, where you get like all the hardcore like math fundamentals, I was probably way better at math than I am today. You know, you're doing like, I don't know, linear algebra, you're doing differential equations, and it's just right there still at your fingertips. And I think now it's easy for me to go back and like refresh it because I've learned it once before.
You have the foundation, yeah.
But
I don't know. My boyfriend and I have this discussion a lot because he has studied some very like intense topic and subjects, and I'm always like, wow, you're so lucky because you have such a great foundation. And he always tells me he doesn't use any of it, but I don't believe it. The foundation is there, it's in you, so you can like reach back in time and be like, oh right, I know this stuff.
And
it's kind of great.
The other day I came back home in the Netherlands, and I still have like some stuff in the Netherlands. So I was going through stuff, and I found 2 notebooks from when I was university. One of them was from when I was studying Japanese, and like I have like whole like tiny essays of me writing in Japanese. And then there's another notebook of literally like nonlinear differential equations with like really nice notes. And I was looking at both those notebooks, and I was like, I have no clue in either of those notebooks like what it means. It's just all Chinese to me at this point.
Yeah. It's funny the way that time is, no?
Yeah, but you see, you have an interest in languages anyway, no? Because you were trying to learn Japanese. I mean, you know a little bit of Spanish too, so English, your language, and I don't know, does Holland has dialects like Germans do here? That sometimes a German doesn't only speak German, but maybe if they're from a region that has a dialect, they have this dialect, which is like another language, because I don't understand it. It's not German. So
there is, no? Isn't there people from the north? It starts with an F. Shoot, the Dutch from the north.
In Friesland, they have their own language. So it's not a dialect, it's like its own language. And then we have a lot of dialects, but I would say the Dutch that I speak is like comparable to like if you would speak Hochdeutsch. I have no
dialect. No dialect. Okay, yeah. But anyway, like you are very well versed in many languages too, which I think it kind of helps in programming. You know, if you're a person that have studied more than one language, in a way there are patterns in languages, not necessarily like it's gonna be easy to learn anytime, but some language that it's closer to another one, and even if they're very different, I think there are patterns. And then in programming, in computational programming languages, I feel that sometimes one start finding those patterns too, no? So kind of like when you speak a language, the more that you learn more than one.
What did I hear? I read that if you learn more than 3 spoken languages, eventually, like after the first 2, the third one should be easy, which is a theory I've been testing out for years. So far, it has not proven true for me, but that's okay. Actually, Anna, do you speak? You've lived in Egypt, I can't remember for how long at this point, but do you speak Arabic at all? Because that's a language
I speak
to learn.
the Egyptian dialect, but I'm not fluent, but I can definitely like survive and get by and like manage my day to day.
Can you like read without the special apostrophes everywhere?
Well, once you stop learning in class, all those special
they disappear, right? For context, when you're learning Arabic, they put apostrophes, right? My friend learned Arabic, this is why I know.
Okay.
They put apostrophes where you're supposed to, it helps denote, connote meaning or something, but then they take them away.
Like an accent or what it
like,
is? What are the, like you know, in French and Spanish we have this like accentuation in some letters. Is that how it is in Arabic?
I think they're called tashkil. I think my fiance is right there who could help me out, but I'm not sure if you can hear me. I think they're called tashkil, and they denote the vowel. So in Arabic there's no vowels, there's just the consonants, and like the tashkil determine whether it's like an a or an u or an o, and that's like how they teach you how to read and write when you're in elementary school, and then like suddenly they disappear and you're just supposed to know whether it says like kutub or kitab, or like are we talking about a book or the writer, and the word looks the same.
I'm so jealous and impressed though that you have a little base in Arabic. It's such a beautiful language and it's so complex now.
And ancient, you know, so many languages have derived from Arabic, so it's very, very, very ancient. A lot of history.
But I would definitely say I speak Egyptian.
Oh yes, of course. I know that there's different dialects. Yeah, my friend learned in Egypt. She learned in Cairo, but they taught her Quranic Arabic, and then she started dating a guy from Lebanon, and he was like, "You don't speak Arabic. You don't speak Arabic." And she was like, "What? Yes, I do."
It's a bit like if you've learned Latin and then go to Italy and think you speak Italian.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Probably, yeah.
And also Latin is really hard and Italian not that hard, you know, so that's kind of the comparison.
That's hilarious.
Whether you learn like the Quranic Arabic or just the dialect.
Okay.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm over here just trying to figure out Spanish, which I find so hard. There are so many accents everywhere, always.
I was going to say that it should be a little bit easier because you speak French, and people, French people tend to not have a really hard time with Spanish. No? You also have some kind of accents in French, right? So
accents in French that go in both directions.
Yeah, but I mean,
accents
then
in Spanish all go in the same direction.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I think it's because I understand more than I can speak that I feel like I'm not learning anything, but I am. It's just very slow. One day we'll do a stream in Spanish. One day.
Wow, that would be amazing. That would be just
we should try.
Hearing you speak in Spanish, so that would be amazing. I can
I have the worst
do
accent.
a word of French.
Such an American.
So sadly, if I could like. I would say as well give back to do some French, but sadly I can't.
We can try Spanish first, but that's okay.
Yeah,
French is overrated. Yeah.
Cool. So how are we feeling, by the way? Should we continue further exploring? We're almost at 2 hours, so I wanted to ask.
True, I want to respect Anna's time as well.
Are there any questions?
Let's go back. I think we were really good at asking the questions when they were asking, so I don't think there's any question. No. So we can ask people on the chat, do you still have any questions that you might want Anna to answer before we end the stream of today? So if you have any like still P5 questions, or like Shader team says that it looks super cool. Oh yeah, Nicole has a question.
Yeah, the FBM data thing. I see that FBM data is an array. Is that just a long string from your FBM uniform that was turned into an array?
Yes, so I'm using it in a way like I'm doing the determining like the different phases in the FBM if you go to the warp function. So again,
Oh, to
because
the
this
warp
was
function.
like for a project where I wanted to have like multiple outputs from the same algorithm, I didn't want every output to have kind of the same warp. So that's why I'm using the random function in JavaScript to create like the how do you say, like the offset, the phase offset maybe of the frequency, to make like the warp function in every output a little bit differently, so that the movement in every one of them is different.
But hold on a second. If I go to the JavaScript, you only define at the top. Hold on, I'm gonna scroll. The FBM data variable as an array, right? And you don't do anything else in here. That's the only thing that you do. You define it. And
no, if you go to line 85.
Oh, right.
85.
You're looping.
See, there we go.
Okay.
You're putting.
Oh, that's where
so
you meant. You're
adding, I'm adding like a random number between 0 and 2 pi, so it's like a different phase offset of the warp function.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Instead of like choosing like a hard-coded number, because then like every warp function is gonna look
different.
It's like moving in the same way.
Okay. But for example, going back to the shader in line 50, where you have the warp function now, and I can see that you're using, for example, this FBM data variable, and you always put an array and a number. That means that that number inside, what exactly is like this number doing then once you put it in there? Like this value, either if it's like 1 or 2 or 3 or 6.
It's how you say, like an offset in the where you start in the sign function.
Okay.
Is it? It's been a while, but I think that's what I don't know how apparent the effects actually are in making it different from shader to shade. Like if we would, for example, set them just all to 1, if you then like refresh,
it does change. I already tried them in line, where was it? In line 75. I already tested it, and I tried to put 1, for example, in line 84 and line 88, and what I noticed is that then you see kind of more denseness of the sphere colors. Do you see now? Let me save. So now there's more like this big chunk of color together, instead of like the smaller the value that I put in this variable, and the higher it goes, it's like
because then you're taking like a different number in the array. But I'm wondering, like, let's say we just completely remove the FBM data from the whole, like
I didn't try that.
Like from the whole thing. I think now we would almost like always get
it's a bit of a mirrored pattern, no?
Yeah, it's a denseness of the color too. Yeah, and a mirror. And what happened if you remove? Oh, what happened?
Like, and now you see the warp is always the same. It's always having the same pattern. Like every time you refresh, it is like.
Oh, okay. So that's why you added the other one, because in that sense it was randomizing. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's another thing that I'm randomizing for each warp. Where is that? Like, no, that's just warp. Oh, like the W and the W, like the warp start is different everywhere. I'll do this.
Oh, I still like it. Even when we remove the,
Yeah.
it's so cool. So fun to change this kind
Oh,
of
you
like
don't have a
sphere.
Command Z in the code pen?
Command
What?
C.
Come on, see.
Like Command Z,
You
like
do, but
return?
sometimes it's oh, are you on a Windows or a Mac? Because I'm on a Mac. And
Mac?
are you on a Mac too?
Yeah.
Then normally you wanna do command find is command F, so it should work. Like if you wanna do a find, or what do you wanna do?
No, just go back because I was just like very happily
Oh,
removed.
Command Z.
Command
yeah,
Z.
yeah.
Yeah, you
I
can
heard
undo.
C, like the letter C.
Yeah, me too. That's why I was like, no, you can undo
There's no
stuff.
Command Z on CodePen? That's crazy.
Yeah, no,
I'm just like,
there's
how are you
undo.
just remove this and that?
Just press
How did I
do undo. Command C. It should work. I always do it.
Let's see.
Oh, you know
Already
what?
put the thing back.
Maybe it doesn't do it for you because you're not logged in. But try it because it should work. If it
Yeah.
doesn't work for you, it could be the
It
only
did for me
thing,
just now.
because normally it works. So if you don't see it working for you, is because of that. You cannot
Cool.
go back. If I click,
I've already just put it back. I think it's okay now.
okay.
Yeah, but I just tested it. I'm logged in and it worked for me. So that I think is a good hypothesis.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
because you're
Ooh.
don't have an account, because everything that normally in a text code editor, like all the commands, work the same in CodePen normally. So. But I like it. So
What I also like inverting the colors and then multiplying them to make them a little bit brighter.
yeah,
Mm.
cool.
Alice really liked when they were
For another vibe, more maybe in the evening, a little bit darker, not
So
so
Yeah.
bright in the eyes, you know. So
Mhm.
especially for me, like when it comes in the evening to look at the screen, I tend to have everything in dark mode because I was so shiny. So I
Oh, I
prefer.
always, all day long, I'm in dark mode.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
never in dark mode.
And you know what
Really?
happens, like in the evenings when I'm reading sometimes in the phone or in my tablet, I hate websites that, you know, they don't have dark mode on the page enable
Yeah.
to read, like, for example, black background. And I feel like nowadays it should be so
True.
easy to implement with CSS, and they should do it because it's really annoying. Like when you're, or maybe it's not even super late, no, but you're in a place where there's not
Yeah.
much light and you don't want to have
Just
this.
whenever you don't want the glare, the screen like yells at
Exactly.
you all day.
Yeah.
What I want my Gmail to be in black and white.
There must be a plugin for that.
Okay, so they have themes, but then once you get to because email clients, I don't know if you guys know this, but they run on like the clunkiest, most old school technology ever. It's like Microsoft Word is the worst. So I don't think it's as easy. I don't know. Like a long time ago, I worked at a company that tried to build their own email client, which is the only reason I know how ridiculous these things are, like in terms of how they're made. But like, yeah, all I know is in Gmail you can have a black theme, but the text area will always be bright white, and it'll yell at you.
Oh, you're
Scream
right,
at you
because
in
I
the
was
white
looking at mine and I was like, what are you talking about? I have the dark mode.
Ooh, I really like
But
this
when I
pattern.
click on the email, you're right, it's white. So
It's going to be white.
yeah.
I really like the current pattern. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have anything exciting coming up for you in the next month? Like, I know you teach a course. I don't know if you're teaching it again. Is it an ongoing thing?
No, I do like workshops here and there in Cairo, but nothing happening right now.
Okay.
But yeah, there's some stuff that I'm
In the
working on.
works that we can.
Yeah.
Is there
Look
something
out
that
for
you
in the
can
future.
announce,
Cool.
or you cannot talk about it yet?
Tomorrow a project is being released, and it's actually now part also of an exhibition in Berlin. So if anybody is there or close
That's
by,
exciting.
and the project is called 𝗵𝗸𝗀𝗀.
Do you have a link for that so that we can show it up on the screen if you send it to
And
me?
you can actually like go through the different iterations of the project. I'm really happy with the work. It has nothing to do with shaders. No shaders.
That's okay.
Send it to me. Yeah.
Um,
Is that P5 or?
We like all the things.
Yeah.
yeah. And it's a project, like I was working on another project, which is patchwork, that I released, I think like 6 months ago or something. And then at some point while I was working on that project, I had a bug that I really liked. So I kind of like archived that bug and finish the project, and then for this project I came back to that
I saw
bug.
that you were posting
Uh,
this on Twitter. It looks so beautiful. It's very architectonic, or engineer and
Right?
such.
Ooh.
It's like systems. So
Ooh.
I really
Yes,
like it.
it's giving me yes, it makes me think of Matt Delorier a bit.
Yeah,
And like
Somebody
the
else
best
very
put that link
minimal
as
work,
well.
systematic.
he did a series a couple of years ago on like grid, or no, what was it? I think it was cityscapes or something. Anyways, it's gorgeous. It does look also like a circuit board, kind of, which I love.
Yeah.
Or a blueprint. That's
Great.
why I was thinking of architectural as well, in a way. So
Totally.
like the blueprint of like some machine.
Mhm. A spaceship. Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, now I have a question for you now that I see this, because like as someone who's dove into NFTs, and you've been quite like I feel like things are going well. Do you ever feel, because like this is very different from all of the quilting.
Yeah.
Is it hard to do things that are not quilting? You know what I mean? Like when you get known for like a aesthetic or something like that.
Yeah. So
Is it
like
scary?
I find it really hard to stick to one style, and I
Yeah.
find this a little bit frustrating. And I try to kind of just ignore it and maybe just do my own thing. So I have quite a wide variety of things what I've done, and I think like for me, this project is still a derivative of a project called Patched Work that was you could really definitely see the weaving in that work. And this work is like a derivative of a bug in that project. So for me, this is still very closely related to
Cool.
weaving in my mind because that's where it came from.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called like Patched Paradise, because it's like I kind of like patching like something
Totally.
up again.
I love it.
So for me, it's still close. It's coming from a textile reference, but it's hardly recognizable in the artwork anymore.
But I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Great.
And somebody was asking on the chat if the NFT market is still going, and I would say yes, no, or
Aren't we in a bear phase or whatever?
Yeah,
It's a bear market now.
I think it's still there and it's in a lot healthier place. I think what happened, I think it's almost now 2 years ago, there was just like a crazy speculation, super overhype, and I think right now the art side of NFTs is in a way healthier place and a more
Yes.
sustainable place, in my opinion. I think maybe like the collectible side of NFTs, you know, the apes and the like other monkeys and animal like
P2Ps or whatever. Yeah.
exactly. I think that I don't know if anything is still happening on that side of things, but I think on the art side of things, yeah, it's still there.
I would be okay with that if the P2Ps
Yeah.
ceased to exist, cease their reign. There's like, yeah, I don't want to poop on anyone's P2P if they've made one, but like, it's not my favorite.
no,
I feel like it exactly highlights the gross side of
I don't like
crypto,
and I don't understand the
special
collection of these like. Well, I guess it's like
it's for the
people
money.
with
It's
art toys.
only a
and it's
cash
like,
grab. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is what I do find really like sometimes difficult in like doing NFTs, that there is like speculation of your work and you do kind of your old collections to see like what are they traded for now, and then that price goes up or that price goes down, and sometimes Twitter gets like a little bit in a unhealthy place. So I think if you are working with NFTs as an artist, you have to kind of like find ways to, I don't know, insulate yourself from that.
Totally.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like as an artist, and I'm also not doing much NFT, but I follow some of you since the beginning because I was always, I'm always like when there's a new thing, I'm probably first just like a watcher before I even try it myself. I'm like spying. So, but I would say it feels more healthier now. Like if you're still doing NFTs and you're an artist, it feels like now it's better, because in the beginning I felt like maybe a lot of people that wasn't even an artist and maybe they were just stealing art from other artists, you know, trying to sell because they were trying to make a quick buck, no? So
Yeah.
and now I think I feel maybe there's a little bit less of that craze of like, oh, I'm just gonna grab something and try to, you know, sell art as NFT.
The
But
gold
now the
rush
people
is
that is
like
staying or starring, it's like maybe actual artists, you know. So that's my feeling, and I think it's gonna even continue to get more imbalanced with time. It's my feeling, no? So that only real artists will stay.
Yeah. And I think collectors who maybe came from kind of the PFP speculative side, but through that became interested in art, have also educated themselves like tremendously. Because I do think maybe 2 years ago it happened that somebody just like copy and pasted something from open processing, stole it from somebody else, maybe changed the color palettes and released it somewhere. And collectors didn't know.
No, yeah, they didn't. They had no idea.
I think also now collectors have become a lot more savvy and know like, oh, this is actually a really, you know, beautiful project and worthy of something. So I think on both sides of the equations, things on the art side have gotten better. But yeah, I think there's definitely ups and downs, but if it means that this in a way is a vehicle for me to just make art full time.
Totally.
Yeah,
No, absolutely.
the dream. I would say
Absolutely.
I'm still pursuing that dream, trying to do only art full time. So very happy to hear that you're doing it.
Yeah. Does it, wait, my last question about this, and then I'll let you stop. But like, doesn't it freak you out to put all your eggs in one basket like that? I would get nervous. I get scared, I think. Being like, okay, I'm only going to do this. And then like, what if, I don't know, because the world can change like that.
But you can always go back to what you used to. I mean, what would be the...
No, because the world is not the same once it's changed. So you can't just go backwards either. That's the thing. So like, I tend to have like 3 or 4 different baskets that I play in, so that if one is dry for like 8 months, it's okay.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think when I initially started, like I was in a job where I wasn't necessarily happy, and I already had this idea of taking kind of a break, and I had been like financially preparing myself to do that when my contract ended. So I set myself in a position where I'd like, you know what, if the coming 6 months I don't sell anything, that's
okay.
That's fine. So the initial thought was, you know what, I want to leave my job. I want to take a break. Let's explore. Let's see what happens. And now actually, like now it's been a year and I'm like, okay, you're right. Like NFT, I don't want NFTs to be my only thing. Like financially, it's not, I don't think I should be putting all my eggs in that basket, I should say. I think also mentally, it's not a healthy space to kind of have your self-worth and what you put out into the world like dependent on that ecosystem. So I think actually right now I am getting to that point of like, what else do I want to do next to these NFTs? So, but I'm still very much exploring that. Like, is it going to stay in like the art side, maybe doing different ways of art, more physical work? Am I going to be teaching? Am I going to be doing next back to engineering, something completely different? I don't know.
So many options and possibilities. No, but I like that. Definitely the best advice is always don't jump into the new thing unless you have a little bit of a cushion.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So this is, I think it's also maybe like an important caveat for people to understand, like, oh, somebody just quit their job and is doing full-time NFTs. That is not like a narrative that I want to put out there, because there's a lot more to that story.
There's more to it.
A lot more things that I did to prepare myself to do that and such. So it's also like, not a
No, but that's a lovely answer. I think it's great to have a realistic answer from someone, because I feel like it's not always the case, and everyone's just like, you know, so easy. I'm just gonna put it online and make it all the bucks, and it'll be like my life is forever changed. So I don't know. I think life is up and down, and it's always, and plus also, if you have all your eggs in any kind of basket, no matter how enthusiastic you are about it at the beginning, eventually it'll be a little bit redundant because you'll have done it for so long. So it is always nice to kind of, I mean, I can only speak for myself. This is my personal experience, but I feel like it's a universal one. I don't know, but anyways, I don't want to keep everybody too much longer, because anyways, our call will automatically combust in 5 minutes.
5 minutes,
Somebody,
exactly. So I think we're good.
Somebody said, what is a real artist anyway?
Yeah, that's
a good question to ponder.
Nerd disco.
That's Tim. There we go. Tim is Nerd Disco. Tom is Pumperdad.
Yeah.
I swear, season
one day.
Year 2022. One day it'll sink in.
Yeah.
And to answer Old Scotia really quickly, I have not yet played with ChatGPT. I am resisting for as long as I possibly can.
Me neither.
It scares me. I don't trust it.
It doesn't scare me, but I'm just like, and I love machine learning, but it's just like right now everybody is trying it, so I don't know.
So into it.
And exactly. And you know what? I actually did try the other day, because I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try. but then I think you had to download something or create an account, and then I was like, okay, nah. If it's not easy
I heard
at
that
this
it was
point,
really great for a code review. If you give it your code and ask it to find problems with it, it's like a really good code buddy. Yeah, I was like, okay, I might do that just for funsies, but I don't want to
Oh, I heard good things
know.
about
Anyways.
it and bad things, like both ends. But that's with anything machine learning related, I feel. No, so we're still like, could be biased, could be not. So I don't think they will take our jobs ever, because we still, as humans, need to train them. Because at some point, like, you know, so in that sense.
But I want to make my own, really. It's the data set thing that forever irks me. And all of these wonderful tools. Training. It's all built on like I want to have my own data set that is mine. Anyways, I could go on about this
I'm the same. Yeah, me too. We should do an episode on AI because I have so much thoughts about it. Totally. Mid-journey and training your own models or not.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Anna, for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it. It's been lovely.
Sure. So great chatting with you. And it's time to pray again, or...
Again, that's crazy. We got like 2 calls to prayer in one call.
I'm gonna plug in both your Twitter and your Instagram on the chat for people that maybe wasn't following and now they are curious to follow you.
If we cut out by accident, everybody, thank you. We have like 60 seconds left before our call automatically spits us back out. But thank you to everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a lovely evening.
You too, yeah.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us, and stay tuned for the next
one.
We'll announce on socials.
Fun things to come. Yeah. Okay. Are we buying or no?
No, we're still online because I cannot find OBS. Bye.
Okay.
Now I
Bye,
find
everybody.
it. Okay. Goodbye.